What's up, good people? It's the Truth Is Podcast. And today's episode is a very important one. We have a friend of the show by the name of Cecil. And he is a openly gay black man. And I feel like in our community, it's such a taboo. And there's so much information about the LGBT community. So I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Yes.
I respect your courage, your honesty. We just want to have the time to talk to you tonight. I'm going to set this episode off with Sonia.
Hi, Cecil.
Hi.
So I must say, for the short time that I've met you, I really like you and I respect you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I think we can learn a lot from you tonight as adults, as parents. So my first question for you was, when was the first time that you came out to your parents? At what age?
I was about 12, but for me it was different because I had this idea that my parents already knew. Mm-hmm. So, of course, and I find that people say this a lot too. The moms is more easier to say because it's like that's your mom.
Yeah.
They birthed you, so it's like it is what it is. Dad is a little more, especially my dad. My dad's like rough around the edges and things of that nature, and that's no fault to him. It's just like he had a son. He didn't expect that. It was a surprise, so it was more difficult. So I would say like when I had that conversation with him at 12, he kind of took it as like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's just like a phase.
Right.
Because neither one of us had knowledge on it. That was just me telling him for the first time. So it was kind of like difficult. My mom was like, okay, like we'll just get there when we get there. But it was never like any different. Honestly, my father, he didn't take it that well the first time.
Right.
As I got older now, and after what I explained before about my sister, now he's just like, it is what it is. Like, live your life. I'm happy to have you here in the flesh.
Right.
And so things of that nature.
Okay, so when did you realize that you were gay? Not at what age? What was the moment that you was like, I'm different?
I think growing up as a kid, I feel like I like different things, but I couldn't like put it as like I'm gay because at that time I really didn't know what it was.
Right.
I think it was more so when I got to like middle school that I was like, okay, I never like acted on it or anything, but I was like, okay, I feel like I don't like what I'm supposed to like.
Right.
That's how I interpreted it in my head.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I think something here is not, because you're like, all right, I don't know who I'm gonna tell, what I'm gonna talk to, so I'm like, I'm just keeping it to myself.
Right.
And that's how like a lot of like my life I've been like internalized things. Like people say like I'm a good secret keeper. That's because I was keeping my own secret. I don't want anybody to know. So it's like things like that. So I think the first time I knew was like middle school. Like around like 7th grade. I was probably like 7th grade, probably like 11 years old.
And you didn't know what it was. You didn't know how to identify it.
Yeah, I didn't know how to identify it.
Yeah.
When you said you was doing different things, what do you mean different things?
Well, because I didn't really want to play, because society says like as a boy you should play sports. You should be into like sports, playing wrestling, things of that nature. But I wanted to play I wanted to watch like music videos. I was really into like Disney Channel, things of that nature. So it really wasn't like what you would say your typical boy would be into. Right. So I already knew that because people would say it. So I was like, okay, I know something's not right. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was that, but I'm like, all right. I knew I was like different in that aspect of it.
Right.
And my mom would be like, what's whatever. That's what you like. Because my mom worked with kids her whole life. Like she worked with preschool kids. So she's like, she would never like stray me away from it. If I wanted to watch Disney Channel all day, she was fine with it.
Right. Okay.
And I say my mom a lot because my mom and my dad broke up when I was 5. So my dad was always in my life. He always lived very close to me, but I always lived with my mom. Like they weren't together.
Okay. And do you think that him not being there helped build the relationship after you came out, or do you think that it made it harder?
I think it definitely helped because it gave him time away from me. Like he didn't live with me every day. So he would see me. It was like, okay, I think if he lived with me, I don't know where we would be, honestly. Because it was new for him. He never been through that. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, so I hear accent. What is your
No, I'm black. Like my mom is like half Dominican, but like my dad's fully black. I get that a lot, like about an accent, but yeah. I was born and raised in New York and everything.
Okay.
Does mom have an accent?
No.
No?
Well,
Nobody.
no?
Nobody, yeah. But I've got that a lot, so I'm like, all right.
So make one up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not the first person that's told me that. I'm like, all right.
You have a Spanish
And it's
Oh.
kind of heavy.
Yeah. No. I was born and raised in New York City, Harlem, to be exact.
That's what it is. That's a Harlem accent.
Yo, that's what it is? Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't know
You
what?
don't know what, Pop.
I don't know why he has an accent.
We weren't asking you that.
We
She
didn't.
said pop.
You have any questions? Do you want to speak to Cecil?
No,
Not
no,
about
no.
his accent
No
or
questions
lack
right-
thereof.
I don't have any questions right now. Anita?
So, you said your dad wasn't as accepting. So, was it a sense of anger at first from dad, or disbelief, or what was that like?
I think it was a compilation of both. Because my dad, like, grew up in the streets, went to jail, and then out of jail like that. Now he's got his life together for the good. Like, he's doing well. I'm so proud of him. But I think, like, he's, like, he had this persona. I don't want to say persona because it was really him. But it's like, how are you going to be this way and your son's this way? It just didn't add up. And so me being that way, my father didn't know how to deal with it. And I think, like, I was the first person that he knew I was openly, that came to him, and so young too. It was just like, I think it was a lot of emotions he felt at the time. And then especially, like, even now, so in his generation, they didn't talk about that. That was
Right.
always looked at as like, Sean, you know. And I think it was because people don't know how to deal with it. And like, still to now, I'm still learning how to deal with it. I know that I'm gay, but if people ask me what is gay, I have my own perception of it. I can't say the same for someone else. So it's like, it's just a learning process.
So, what is your perception of all the? It's not just gay anymore. It's
All
all
the
the letters, the
pronouns and,
pronouns, and so what are your thoughts on all of that?
I'm still learning. Like, I like to take it one step at a time because it is a lot. At first it was LGBTQ, now it's LGBTQ. I don't even really know like all of it.
A, B,
and I,
C, D,
yeah,
F, G,
and I
yeah.
think I want to be inclusive, just like with being black. You want to like know like, okay, this is what's good to say, not to say. So
Right.
like I understand it and I'm appreciative of it, but I think people group everybody together. Like, all right, if you're gay, you want to. Some people might want to get their fingernails painted, which is fine. I don't. You get understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think you should just learn the person as the person and not try to just put that
Put them
label
in
and all group us together. 'Cause
Right.
we're still people, different people.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, have you experienced any type of racial bias?
I have not. I think like learning, like I went to high school with predominantly pretty much black people and Hispanic people. So the teachers were the minority in my school. So that kind of like blinded me to the world. Going into college, being like the only person of color there, it was like, wow, like, okay, this was different. Even now working, I'm like the only black person that's on my team. So I kind of always feel like the token person. I was okay, oh wow, you're gay, okay, oh wow, you're black. So they always have questions instead of just saying like, all right, who is Cecil? I always feel like I have to be like a mascot for one of the other two. And it's like, it's kind of like weird. It's kind of like, all right, have you never seen a black person before? Have you never seen a gay person before? So to put the two together, it's like, it can be a lot at times.
So you want people to see you as an individual, not of black or gay.
Absolutely.
Just-
No, I want to be like, I'm proud. I'm saying all the time, like I'm black, I'm gay. I'm happy with it, but I also think it's one thing to learn about it, but if you have questions, for instance, like, all right, also, how is it this way? Why do you look like that? I always get like, sometimes in the wintertime, my skin gets lighter because we're not in the sun a lot. And I'm like, that shouldn't identify who I am. In the summertime, I look like everybody else when I got a tan.
Right.
We're all the same color. So I think we shouldn't like break it down like, oh, you're lighter. Oh, you're gay, but you dress like a boy. It's like, once we start getting into that, it becomes like, you know.
Yeah. People are so judgmental.
So as a teenager, did you get teased or bothered by?
Yeah, I used to get a lot that, oh, you talk like a girl. That was like the main one. But see, my parents always told me to stick up for myself. So I was always quick, like when my comeback, like I wouldn't let nobody say anything to me and not let me say anything back.
Right.
So I wasn't per se bullied, but people would make comments. But I take it as kids are gonna be kids. I was a kid. I would make comments about people too. Not to say about them being gay, but I would say, oh, your shoes is busted or something like that. So it's kind of with the territory of being a kid. So I understand that. I think also like growing up, you have to have tough skin.
Right.
Yeah.
So like in a sense, I'm appreciative of it because, like, now if somebody says something to me like, "Oh, you're gay," I don't need to like melt and fall apart. Like
Right.
I am. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been physically attacked for being gay?
I have not.
Okay.
I think because I am of a bigger stature, people like tend to like, okay, I don't want to like.
Yeah.
So I have not been attacked, which I'm appreciative of. But
Yeah.
I know how to defend myself too.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how do you date?
I'm still figuring that out. Like, that's the whole thing with me being like comfortable. Like, I always tell myself, like, I wonder when I'm gonna be comfortable enough to bring somebody around my family.
No, I'm talking about like,
Oh, how do I?
like
Okay.
you go out.
Mhm.
How do you say like you see a guy that you are
Mm-hmm.
interested in, but you don't know if he's gay or not?
Right.
So how do you find out like if they're interested in you?
To
Or
that,
if you-
no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
To that point, I think social media has helped a lot with that. Like social media, you know, people hit you up, they call it DMs, you know, people
Right.
direct message you. So that's how you'll know. I've never done this before. Like I've never went outside and been like, oh, I don't know if that person is like.
Oh,
So I've
okay.
never done that.
Right.
That would be new to me. It's always been through like maybe like an app or like social media.
Or
So,
you
like,
never went to like a club or
No.
bars or
Really?
no, I haven't.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't.
I don't blame him.
So do
I
you
don't
have a
even wanna
partner
go to
now?
club.
No, I don't.
You
I'm
don't.
single
You're
as a
single.
dollar bill. Yeah, so like, I don't. yeah. No, but
Wow.
and I feel like once I get more comfortable, and that's not being like, most people know that I'm gay. I think it's being more comfortable with myself, like showing affection. I have a problem like showing affection. Like I show my love in a different way. Like I show my love in like I'll defend you to the end, but like maybe like doing like a hug or something, or like I feel like you know I love you. I don't need to say it. So in that sense, that results in like my relationships and things like that. It's like difficult. Like I don't want to be like mushy and stuff like that. I don't know. And I think it's like a maturity thing.
But do you think you're like that because you're gay and you think that you shouldn't show that type of affection, or just naturally that's just not who
I
you
think
are?
I'm unlearning that perception that I had because I was always, and this is like what I interpreted on my own. Nobody told me this. You know, being gay was, I shouldn't say wrong, but we know it was different. So I'm like, okay, if that's different, maybe I shouldn't be that way. So I think for so many years, I told myself that now as an adult, where I'm just like, I can do what I want to do. I still have to unlearn it. So I'm in the process of like doing that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, was there affection at home? You think that might be part of it? Because I know I came from a home where my parents didn't do a lot of hugging. You know, so I find as an adult, I'm a hugger because I feel like I kind of missed out on that at home. But do you find that might be part of it?
I would agree. I think for both me and my sister, not just me, I think it was more so, we know our parents loved us and they did everything for us, but it was more so they wanted us to be like strong people. So like when we cried, they was like, okay, yo, you can cry, but what you gonna do now to fix it?
Right.
Don't just sit there and cry. And I think because that's what they was taught. So you teach what you were taught.
Yeah.
Right.
So I always looked at crying as a weakness and showing emotion. I'm like, doing all that crying, you're upset, but which is not true because you could be the saddest person and not cry. So I
Right,
think that's
yeah.
like, I'm relearning my emotions.
Have you ever been depressed because of your lifestyle?
I wouldn't say depressed because I actually don't know what depression is, like the signs of it. I know I've been sad or I've been like in my own head to say like, oh, I'm this way maybe because, and I think I actually think I'm putting the pressure on my parents because I think I care so much about what they think. Anybody else, not so much, but them. So I'm like, how they perceive it. Like people are gonna come to them like, oh, you don't have no grandbabies yet. What's going on with that? So sometimes I get in my head about that, but I'm like placing my fears on them. If they haven't said anything, I can't like keep living in that mindset.
Well, when it comes to, let's say, your parents wanted grandbabies, that's not impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
At all.
hmm
You know?
Which is true.
Do you ever see yourself having children? Do you want them?
I don't know.
You don't know if you
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
I know I would like. It's like I'm always up and down with it.
Wow. Okay.
So I have a question. So, what's your take on religion? Because like if you like, a lot of religions are very anti-homosexual. Like, what's your experience, and what are your beliefs? If you're comfortable sharing it with everybody.
I think for me speaking, I've had good experience with religion. I say build your own relationship with whoever you believe in, the higher power. I said as I'm getting older, I've built my own relationship with God. I have my own take on it. But I think for instance, everybody thinks different in religion. We can't say what's right and what's wrong. That's why I say just build your own relationship I think my parents have taught me like believe in God, and I think that's not even just about being gay. That's just from general. You know, you believe what your parents believe, but I think getting older, you tend to take your own aspect of it. So I've decided to like, okay, my parents told me this, but let me try to build my own relationship with God and see like how it is. And it's been really good, honestly.
Good.
Have you ever liked a woman or, you know, been attracted to?
I have, honestly. That's when, so from like middle school, I was like, okay, I'm gay. Then like going into high school, I was like, well, maybe I'm not.
Because that one woman came walking by.
Yeah, so it's honestly, it was like, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm just like, I don't know. I was say I'm bisexual. But then I was like, I don't think I'm bisexual. After a certain amount of time, I'm like, no. You know what I'm saying? So I think as I got older, I would say by the time I was like 19, I was like, no, I know I'm gay. And I was like, I'm not changing.
So what was that aha moment that made you say, okay, no, I am not attracted to women? What happened?
I think,
What did you not feel, or what did you feel?
I feel like after so many years of me not acting on it, or me not having like any experience with a woman sexually, I'm like, and not wanting to, I was like,
Oh, okay. So no matter how beautiful she
Yeah.
was or whatever, you didn't feel that sexual attraction to her. Okay.
So I'm like, all right, if it ain't happen, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah. So I
Got
was like,
it. Got it.
Wow.
Do you feel pressured, like certain West Indian cultures? You know, they're very anti-gay. Like certain songs. How does that make you feel? Do you tune it out? Do you like they're just idiots? Like
No, I get what you're saying, because that's a really big thing. I kind of take it with a grain of salt. I have never experienced being shunned in that way. I have a really close, like one of my best friends is Jamaican, and I've been around her family. I went to Jamaica, and it was really accepting. So it was really good to see that side. Like I went to her countryside, like the home side. We were in Jamaica, where it's like the dirt is red. So it was like really good to see. So like, and her family opened me with welcome arms, so that was really good to see. But there are some aspects where people are not welcome, and you have to be careful. It's just kind of like you have to take it with a grain of salt. Just in the same places where there's some places where black people are not safe.
Right.
So you kind of just got to take it in that aspect. So I kind of like, it's like, for me, sometimes I think it's like a double whammy. It's like, being a black man is already hard, but adding gay to that title is like even like harder.
Right.
So my next question is like, have you ever been in a situation where you've had a friend or known somebody who was really undercover in a sense, like who you're like, I think that person is gay, but you see him in a full relationship? Have you ever had a friend or experienced something like that?
Absolutely, I have friends now, but my take on it is, I'm not with the whole. I feel like people are gonna come out when they're ready. I also think you should take into other people's feelings, meaning that don't start a family with somebody or be with somebody and you know you're one way. I think that's wrong, but I also think the aspect is not my place to out them.
Right.
Because that's like a big thing. People get mad. It's like out culture. I've never been outed, but I just feel like, how can I word this to make it make sense? I just feel like I take like loyalty very seriously and like having like compassion and trust with people, and I wouldn't want that done to me. So like I feel like give them the aspect to come out on their own.
So you witnessed or know people that have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And doesn't morally how does it make you feel? Like you're like, damn, what he's doing. But like you said, is it more of a thing where, like you said, they'll just come out when they're ready, or you're like, yeah, that's really messed up because you're misleading somebody?
I think it's two. I think in those situations, because I know people like that, I think it's always rumors about them. Like they're always, it's because people think like, okay, are they gay? Which is why they do that. They get a girlfriend, they have a baby to like ease those rumors,
To cover that up.
to suppress it. But you can't suppress it because you have these thoughts. Eventually, we're humans, so we're gonna act on what we think. So I think, and how I feel about it morally, I think is wrong, because I'm like, you're bringing someone else into your situation and they don't know. So I feel like that's wrong in the sense like they don't have a chance. On the other side of it, I think it's society's pressure to like, you need to be with a woman, you need to have kids. So they're trying to do what's best for them, but not living their truth fully. So I think in a sense, like, they just added another layer to it because they brought somebody else to it.
Right.
But eventually, I think they will come out on their own.
So let me ask you, in your experience, do you think people make too much of a big thing? Like right now, we're having an episode about a gay black man. Do you think that's like extreme? Or are used to people just being curious?
I think everyone's curious about many different things. So I think it's a learning experience. Like we said in the beginning, people might hear this episode and learn from it. I think, but to your point, I do think people make too much of a big deal about it. Because it's like, what my mom always told me, she's like, it's not my life. You have to live the life. So it's like, if I feel like we like care so much about what someone likes, but not bigger things than issue. Like, why is, for instance, like, this is just bringing this up. Why is it okay for, and I think this is in black families mostly, why is it okay for somebody to be like accused of rape, but that's pushed under the rug? But if somebody comes out as gay, that's like such a big topic of discussion.
Right.
I don't feel like it's level ground to
Right.
that.
I agree.
Like
Yeah.
molestation, they
All-
push under the
yeah,
rug,
Right.
which happens a lot. And I shouldn't, actually I take that back, because it doesn't only happen in black families, it happens in multiple
Yeah.
places.
Right.
Yeah. I understand that.
What would your advice be or your wisdom be to the homophobic parent who's listening to the show right now? Like, what would you tell them and how to deal with their son or daughter who came out?
I would tell them to take your time, because I would say for also when you have a child, you have a vision for that child. So it is very understanding if your child does come out as gay. From the first moment you don't understand it. That's like totally, we're humans. Sometimes we have a reaction before we actually understand it. The reason why I say is take your time, because if you actually get to learn your child and learn it with them, I feel like it can be like a great thing. So I would say it's okay to not understand it at first. You probably won't ever understand it, but just to work with them and accept it.
And just love them.
Just
That's
love
your
them,
child.
because that support makes a big
Yeah.
difference. Once you have the support of your parents, you feel like, all right, I can face the world. Like,
Yeah.
my mom and dad know
Absolutely.
it is what it is, what everybody else thinks.
Yeah.
What would you tell the young person who is struggling right now, who, wants to live their truth and tell the world that they're gay? Like, what would your advice be to them?
I would say to learn your own definition of what being gay is. We see it on the
That is
media, we see
interesting.
what people hear. I would say it's going to be different for you, so you have to walk your own path. I might tell somebody how my coming out experience was, but it might not be the same for them. We have people that get kicked out of their families, or they don't have a place to live because of their being gay. So I understand if sometimes people wait a little longer till they get older to come out, so that way they can have like a sufficient place to live and things of that nature. So I would definitely say learn what being gay is for yourself, and like walk your own path.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sonia?
Well, I think that you said something that really enlightened me when you said learn yourself as being gay. And you made an example like some would like to paint their fingernails. Some gay men or women, they want to dress a certain way or even behave a certain way. And sometimes I get a little bit, I won't say confused, but I lack understanding of how a man can be gay, but everything that he's not attracted to, you bring that persona. You wear the clothing, you wear the makeup. So what is it that stops you from being attracted to me, but yet you want to be me?
Right.
So I often wonder about that. What is your thoughts on that?
I have similar thoughts in the sense of like if you go into like people that are, I want to use the right term, like are trans.
Okay.
Like I don't know what that feels like, because I feel like I know I'm a male and I want to stay a male.
Right.
I cannot imagine what it'd be like to be in my body and want to be like a different sex. So I think that's like a psychological aspect, because we all want to be happy in life. So I think that aspect is where it comes from. But I also view it in that sense of like, okay, I know I'm gay, but I still want to be a male. Like I still like my sneakers. I still like to wear basketball shorts. But I'm okay being around people that want to
It's
do
like that.
something.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
like I feel like
right.
I can't, because we have people that I have some gay friends that are like, yeah, like I can't be around like, that faggot shit. But it's like, but you like the same thing that they like.
Right,
So it's
right.
kind of like,
It's the behavior they don't want to be
yeah,
around.
but I'm
they
like,
don't like.
and I get it. You
Yeah.
might not understand it, but don't shun it.
Right.
Because people might look at you the same way. It's kind of like how we say, like, I always say this with my friends, like, sometimes my friends will say, okay, you're lighter. But I'm like, if a white person sees us, they're going to say we're all black. They're
Yeah.
not going to pinpoint, you were
You're
lighter,
lighter,
you
you're
were darker.
darker,
To
yeah.
them, we all look the same. So I'm like, in that aspect, to some people, they like,
You're labeled
okay.
the same.
Yeah, you're labeled.
Yeah.
You're all gay. I don't care if he has a skirt and you have on jeans on. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I got a question, and I hope it's not offensive. And if you don't want to answer it, it's
Right.
fine. But do you have a type?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I think I like people always ask me this question, and I always feel weird saying it, but I like black people. Like I don't see myself dating somebody out of my race.
Okay.
And I shouldn't shun it, but I don't.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I don't see myself dating somebody.
Rather gay or not,
Mhm.
there's black people that don't want to
Yeah.
date out of their race.
And
so
like tall. Like I feel like I'm tall. I don't want to like date somebody that's short.
Right.
Like
Because I have a friend.
Yeah.
He's gay, but he doesn't read gay. Like if you saw him, he's a good-looking man. He does not read gay at all because he's masculine. But he has a type. And the crazy thing about it is, like, you won't know that he's gay until you start hearing him talk. Then you like, okay, something is possible. But his type is he likes hardcore, rugged men. Like, and I'm looking at him saying, so you like you? Because that's what he is.
Right.
You know, I said, so that's your type. He loves a thug. That's what he look. He's always a thug. I said, okay, wow. You know, it's just. I think the lifestyle is interesting, and to hear different aspects of it from different types. You know, because there's so many the pronouns and all the different ones.
Right.
It's confusing to me somewhat, and I don't understand it completely. But being around some of my friends who are in the community. It's interesting.
no, I agree because we even have it at work. Like we have some people that identify as they, but how I see them is like a man. So it's easy for me to say, okay, I see you as a woman. I'm like she, him. That's just how we've been raised. So that's how it's easy to come out. But it's like I just try to understand it because we like have a choice.
So what do you think that is? Like, okay, so you're gay and you're a man.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay to identify you as a man.
Right.
Okay. So what do you think it is that person who's gay no longer wants to be identified as a man or a woman, but now they want to be they? What is it about being a man or woman? It's not acceptable to them that they have to be a they.
I think people try to steer away from labels so much that it comes into that term maybe because we say like, okay, we know, okay, you're black, we know you're gay, we know you're a man, okay, I don't like labels, so now I'm gonna create something, and this is just my take on it, I could be dead wrong.
Right.
I think people try to steer so far away from it that things like they come about.
Right.
Because it could be confusing. Like I work in a school with kids, so when they see the person that describes themselves as they still say Mr.
Right.
And it's like how they identify when they're home. They say dad, dad's a he, mom's a she.
Right.
That's how even if you look in children books, that's how it's learned. So it's
Right.
very difficult to take that aspect out of it and say, okay, they. Now, of course, we can be understanding and inclusive, but I think also for people like that, even me, sometimes you have to be understanding with other people as well.
Right.
Sometimes they may mess it up and say they, but just, he.
Right.
But just take it with good intentions. I'm sorry, just say they.
Yeah.
And I think just go.
Because we all still learning.
We still learn it.
So
I think
new.
It's a learning
to me,
process.
it seems like a rebellion, you know, against what the world has tried to place labels on them for so many years. It just seems like a rebellion. No, I don't want to be known as what you're trying to label me as. I'm this, I'm that, or whatever. The label that they choose to use, but to me, it's seemingly like a rebellion type thing. You know, I don't know.
I think it's a rebellion on both sides too. Like, and I just realized this, like listening to him speak, a rebellion to look into it. So, like he said, get to know what gay is. Like I never even looked. I refuse in my subconscious. I refuse. No. I'm not gonna look into that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care about it. It doesn't bother me, but I'm not gonna look into it
Right.
because I never had to face it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Because it wasn't in my face.
Right.
My son or my daughter didn't, so I didn't have to look into it. So I rebelled at it.
That
They're not
wasn't
gonna
your
bother.
problem,
They're not gonna
someone
bother
else's.
me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bother them.
Yeah.
If I come across them, I accept them.
Yeah.
Not knowing you know what it is? They're gonna accept me. We're gonna respect each other, and
yeah.
that's how it was. So I had like I just realized I have a little rebellion in me too. Like,
of course.
oh, it's different. I don't need to know about it.
I definitely agree because even like me, I was like, okay, I came out, but even like let's look at high school. I was like, okay, maybe I was the only person in my class that was gay. But I was recently at my friend's house and they was like, oh, he was like, oh, you went to high school with this person, he's gay. But my heart dropped because I didn't know who he was gonna show me on that phone because it was news to me. And the person he showed me, I really didn't know. So I was like, oh wow. I was like, okay, well. It was surprising because you never know. I was like, wow, I wonder how long they've been.
Yeah.
If they had the same experience you went through.
Yeah.
They was going through the same thing you was going through
I didn't
while you
even
was in
know.
school.
Yeah.
Now, did you find that your any of your male friends shunned you at all?
I think it was. I feel like they knew. Yeah, I feel like they knew. So I think I grew. What I'm happy about is I did grow up in a generation. My generation is a little more understanding.
And
Yes.
accepting.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
yeah.
very much accepting in that
Absolutely.
sense. So I think it wasn't so hard for them to be like, all right, he's gay, so I don't need to
Yeah.
like. As long as I'm not like touching on them
Yeah,
and doing all of that,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was fine. But I feel like they knew.
Okay.
I think that I've learned that in the workplace that they have this word tolerant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, learn tolerance, and I hate that word. You shouldn't have to tolerate me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm not a pain, or I'm not a, you know, something that's so negative that you be like, all right, I'm just going to tolerate you. No, I'm a human
Yeah.
being and you respect me.
Absolutely.
So to say that someone has to accept me,
Right.
no,
Right.
you're not accepting me.
Right.
You know, I am this, and you're just going to respect me. So that word tolerant and accept bothers me. And in the workplace, it's all over the place. We have to learn tolerance, so we have to tolerate. Who are you tolerating?
Right.
Right.
You know, so I'm this separate entity, this separate thing
Right.
that's a bother to you. So I'm just going to tolerate you. You know, and I think that supports the divisiveness with race and stuff like that. When you start using word, okay, I'm going to accept you now. Oh, you're going to accept me. So the flip side is that you don't, and that's based on what? So now you're causing another division because I'm going to accept you. All right, I have to. No, what you have to do is respect me as a human. You know, so that word tolerant just is a bothersome word for me in every aspect.
No, I
You know?
definitely understand.
Yeah.
But I must say real quick that I get a little bit, I don't know, I want to say nervous, uncomfortable around flamboyant gay people because they call me a girl. They be like, hey girl, blah, 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 blah. And like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
They actually call you a girl?
Yeah, they be talking to me and they be like, hey girl.
Because that's their lingo. That's how they use
Yeah.
But
But I don't understand. It's like I'm talking to a Caucasian person and I'm calling them the N-word because that's my culture. They not getting. They're like, what?
Right.
So
Right, I
I'm
see what
like,
you're saying.
so I feel like uncomfortable. Like, okay, how should I handle this? Like,
Yeah.
did he just like try me or
Yeah, I see
is
what
he
you're
is he
saying.
trying to see? Is he trying to see if I
Respond in a certain way.
respect him or I don't
reaction.
respect him or he's trying to see like what is he trying to is he testing me or is that I don't know the culture.
Yeah.
So that's the flip side of it, where that culture has to learn how to respect.
Both
There's lines that you just don't cross. So if you want respect, you have to give respect, and you don't assume that it's okay to say to a man that you know is not gay, "Hey, girl," right? So it's you know it
It's
goes
both
ways.
I agree.
Both
Yeah.
teams have to learn to comprehend
To
each
come
other.
to like a common ground. That way
Yeah.
it'll be like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's good that you said like uncomfortable. I think people are afraid to say like I'm uncomfortable. But if anything that's new is uncomfortable.
Right.
So I think that's, especially if you're not around it a lot, it makes sense. And
Right.
I agree to your point. I think like both sides need to be understanding. If you don't have that
Might be
relationship,
so defensive, like I just don't understand.
if you don't have that relationship with somebody, maybe I'm gonna wait to see if it's okay.
Right.
You know, if somebody tells you it's not okay, you have to
Right.
understand. It might not be that they don't like gay people; they just don't like being called a girl, and
Right.
that's fine. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I don't even mind being called a girl, but I just don't know, like, okay, that's your lingo? Okay, I
Right.
got you. Because I say, man, what's up, man? Somebody might get upset, like, all right, man. I even say it to girls sometimes. All right, bro.
Bro, yeah, I was gonna say that.
I say that to girls, and then girls be like, I'm not no bro. Like, you don't want bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the culture.
There is a young guy at my job. His name, I don't want to call his name, but he's gay and he's very
Flamboyant.
flamboyant. He has a certain walk and he doesn't hide it or anything. So when he first got there, I met him. I was like, oh gosh, because he works in an area that's strictly male, and they're young, right? And I'm like, oh God, this is automatically. I'm like, this is going to be a problem, okay? So as I, got to know him, I absolutely love him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love him.
And that's enough. That's
And
another
the thing
thing.
about, and then the guys that he worked with, there's no tension there. There's, what's up, so and so, whatever. There, it's like there's no issue there, and it's something about this generation that it doesn't matter because
they're very accepting.
back in the day, a man that's not gay wouldn't even be caught dead sitting down and having dinner or lunch or whatever or anything. But so when I see him, I say, hey, Mike, and I call his name because I love him. We have this great relationship, and he goes, girl, how was your day? I'm like, girl, let me tell you, So it just comes out, and I have such a great relationship, and I find that when the gay community loves, they're the most loving people. They're the most loyal people.
Yes, they are.
They will have your back.
Absolutely.
They're very honest, but yet very tender with you.
Too.
Yeah, opposed to, the heterosexual relationships that I have. And that is what I appreciate. And if people can't learn anything, if they can't get past their prejudice with that community, they must learn how to love the way they love. Because it's amazing. Yeah. It's really amazing.
And take their honesty.
Yeah.
Yes.
I call one of the doctors at the hospital. She's a lesbian. I call her my lesbian lover. Everybody said, Anita, where's your lesbian lover? Oh, she's over there,
Yeah.
Very cool, very down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think it helps when people get to see it in media in a good way. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about like adults as far as like, I was just watching the Grammy and Beyonce dedicated her whole album to the queer community. Yeah. So when they see people like, oh, that's Starcher, like, oh, she's down with it. Maybe we could, like, it helps in that sense of like, oh, maybe I will learn something about it. And that's
That's the main thing I got away from this podcast is to learn about it before we
judge it.
Speak about something we don't know anything about.
Before you judge it.
And I'm daggone near a genius, and I have to.
Oh my God!
Yeah, wrap this up.
Yeah,
he
went left. I'm going off the end now.
He went left.
So Cecil, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for your honesty, your transparency.
Yes,
and
so enlightening.
I think I love you.
Yes.
Thank you. I love you too.
I think you're part of the family. I'm gonna steal you from the Davises.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna do that. Is that okay, Nicole? Pop?
You ain't stealing him from his mother.
But again, thank you so much. And for those who are listening, if you have any questions or concern, or maybe even have questions for Cecil, you can email us at truthiss1311@gmail.com, or you can ask the question and put it on the page, YouTube page.
Instagram.
If you have Instagram, you can ask us questions or say, hey, can you ask Cecil this, or could you relate us to him, and we would definitely do it. We don't have the answers because we don't live that lifestyle, but he can probably impart something that's important to you. So thank you for listening. And just live intentional